Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by Genesis House and the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction and recovery. Join your hosts,
the Podfather, Jersey Ed,
as they break the silence and speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Friends in Recovery Podcast.com. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles, and I'm here with
Jersey Ed.
Here he is.
Hey,
in the
guys,
flesh.
in the flesh, in the
flesh.
car.
Here he is.
There I am. FIR from the car, Podfather.
Yeah, and we're podcasting live from Studio
C.
No.
Cadillac.
PF.
PF. Oh, PF. Yeah. Studio PF. So wherever the Podfather is, that's the name of your studio. All right. So we're from the PF's car. So.
We're actually in Chelmsford, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Say that, Ed.
Chelmsford.
What's the other?
Chelmsford.
What's the state?
Massachusetts. Massachusetts. Whatever. It's like saying Westchester.
Yeah.
God. There you go. So, hey, real quick, guys, we're going to talk about, before we get into, we're going to do a little mindless bantering here.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about building on your recovery. We'll talk about that a little bit more. So we're going to kind of continue your recovery, building on your recovery. But real quick, I want to give some phone numbers out. 617-379-1163. You can give us a call and email us at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. If you have any comments or if you want to be a guest on the show, have a lot of people asking to be guests on the show.
You can sit in the back seat.
You can see
right here.
Yeah, we'll clean it all out for you. So, but yeah, today we are podcasting from the Podfathers. The Cadillac. Yes.
In the caddy.
Just a reminder, Friends in Recovery online 12-step meetings are noontime and 7 p.m. daily. If you go to Friends in Recovery, a community of support, or Friends in Recovery podcast Facebook pages, all the details are there. Or on genesishouse.net, you'll also see that there. So Podfather, we're in your car. We're smoking a cigar.
Smoking cigars.
Again.
That's why we're in the car.
That's it, exactly. FIR from the car.
Jane and Amy wouldn't let us smoke in the yard.
That's right. So we had to come out here. We just got done doing a podcast for ATC in the Podfather's office.
Right.
And,
Studio PF.
Studio PF. And switch over to the other channel and take a listen to that one. That was actually a good podcast.
Yeah, that was a very good podcast.
Yeah, we did that. That was excellent.
So today we're going to be talking about working hard to find recovery, or once you're in recovery, working hard to keep recovery.
Yes.
Because it's not easy.
No.
Believe me, it's not easy. We're both between the two of us, we have over almost 56, 57 years of sobriety.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come easy, even at this stage.
No.
You know, I have no desires to pick up a drink or a drug, but there's still
the isms, the assholishness, the
moronness.
Yes, being just being that dry drunk. Basically, we can fall into that, and that's something that we don't want to do. And
for me, helping others really on a daily basis. Usually, it's about 7 days a week. I get texts. I never say, "Hey, it's Sunday, don't call me," or "Hey, it's Saturday, don't call me." I mean, I'm available 24/7, 365, basically.
Yep.
And you are too.
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah.
And I think that's something people may not understand because they're not involved in this. But I know, when somebody calls, a family member calls, they want to help someone, or the individual that really needs help and wants help calls, we drop everything. I had a guy that I was trying to lead, as they say, lead to water. I couldn't get him to drink.
Yeah.
I get him right to the pond. He wouldn't take a sip.
Yeah.
And then one night he called me, and I'm in a banquet, and I was so elated that this guy wanted help. It's 9:30 at night. I'm in Andover, Massachusetts, at a country club at a banquet, and I'm out in the parking lot on the phone with goosebumps because I know this guy wants help.
Yeah.
Well,
and never sleeps, Podfather. When we're called upon to help somebody, that's when we have to help them. If it's 2:00 in the morning or 2:00 in the afternoon, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Right. And even those 2:00 in the morning calls, you say, well, what are you doing? What are you talking to them about 2:00 in the morning? You can't get them to treatment. But you know what? It's another alcoholic helping another alcoholic. Right. And let me tell you, Podfather, and I don't know about you, but if I get those calls, they're an eye opener to me, because I never want to be that person on the other call.
No.
And that's building on my recovery. Right. That's getting deeper seated into my recovery, getting my roots down there even deeper into my recovery,
Right.
and along with AA and sponsorship and all that stuff. And we'll go into some different ways how we can build on our recovery and grow it. But the beginning is definitely, like you said, just admitting we're powerless against alcohol and our lives become a mandrel. That is the hardest thing to do, don't you think?
It's the essence of the first step, getting into a program.
Yeah.
October 17th, 1986, 3:00 in the morning, I was thinking to take my own life. I had won a service revolver. I got an award as Police Officer of the Year, and they gave me a banquet, and they gave me a check for $500, and they gave me a beautiful 38 snub nose stainless steel Smith Wesson 5-shot cheap special called the Bodyguard. Beautiful gun. And here I am, several years later, in my office.
This is why you're in recovery,
right?
Okay.
In my living room, the Whistler House, thinking about taking that gun and putting a bullet in my head.
Wow.
And I'd written notes to my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and I wrote a note to Arlene, who is my wife.
Yeah.
She was my girlfriend at the time, and I tried to explain why I was feeling the way I was feeling. And you know what? Suicide ideation at the time, and I was beyond ideation because I actually had the means to do it.
Yeah.
I was at peace. I was calm. I hadn't felt that good in a long time. I felt like I found the answer to my problem. It was going to be suicide.
Yeah.
Think of that, Ed.
But that's false. That's completely false when you think that way. There's it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Correct. That's right.
And that does happen sometimes in recovery, and that's why we have to build on our recovery so we don't fall into that trap. We don't fall into feeling like that. Now, is recovery all fucking rainbows and kind of unicorns? No, it's not. I mean, we have hard times. I was divorced twice in recovery.
Right.
I had some business partners, some businesses that went south in recovery.
Right.
But what it did was teach me not how not to do it the wrong way, how to get a divorce the right way, how to be equitable to my 2 ex-wives, how to be respectful to my partners that it didn't work out. You know what I mean? And that's what recovery taught me. And that's really building, you keep building on and building up those layers, but you got to do it almost daily, right, Father?
Yeah. Well, and I think when I made that phone call, I called a friend of mine, Dave Siemens. He died in a plane crash with 4 other friends of mine coming home from a hunting trip. But he came to my house within minutes. He lived about 10 miles away. He was there within 20 minutes. And within an hour, I was on my way to a place called Seminole Point, Sunapee, New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's 6:00 in the morning. I'm on the highways of New Hampshire, not even knowing where I'm going. I just know I'm going to get help. 1986. I didn't know anything about treatment facilities. I didn't know anything about detox. I had driven people to detox, winos, people that I considered alcoholic winos. I never thought in a million years that I'd ever be one of those people getting a ride.
I know.
I got there, I got well, I got out, and I started going to meetings, and I held on to sobriety. I nurtured it. I cherish it to this day. I do what I was told. I do get on my knees every day, and I ask the God of my understanding, my higher power, who I met in AA. I don't know, male, female. I don't even know who I'm praying to, but I'm praying. And I ask for a day of sobriety every day. Yeah. And at night I get on my knees and I say, thank you for this day of sobriety. And that's been going on for 34 years. And I've been to thousands of meetings, AA meetings, and I got a degree to help me to be able to facilitate and help people. And it gave me the credentials that verified who I was, what I was doing. You don't need that to help other people. But I'm just saying, I made a career out of it.
Yeah.
And here I am, a retired cop after 35 years. I work harder now than I probably ever worked, because me helping you or helping someone out there helps me. It helps me to stay sober. I do have a business. I do counsel. I'm also a mental health therapist. I'm a CISM, critical incident stress management therapist. I'm a child of separation and divorce therapist. I'm also a PTS, post-traumatic stress disorder therapist. I'm certified in all these things to help people in law enforcement, but also to help the average person on the street, a housewife, children. I've worked with children. I have a master's in social work, clinical social work of families and children. So my point is, I turned it into a career, but you don't have to. You just have to want sobriety, but it doesn't come easy. Go to meetings, ask for help.
Yeah.
Don't be timid. Don't think you're just gonna put down the booze or the drugs and it's gonna be easy. It's not.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not. And that's why we want to talk about building on your recovery. If it's from day one or 34 years or 26 years, whatever it is, you got to build on it on a daily basis. You got to go to meetings. You got to go. You got to call your sponsor. I call my sponsor all the time.
Right.
And some people don't. It's okay. But also, if I'm not calling my sponsor, I'm talking to somebody like you, Podfather, in recovery,
Sure.
or we're doing these shows, or we're talking about doing these shows. And when we talk about doing these shows, we talk about recovery.
Right.
We talk about our experience, strengths, and hope, and where we've been, and how we got here.
Right.
And that's what building on recovery is. And here's the perfect example of building on recovery is that you keep dropping these things into the bucket. You keep dropping it in, and eventually you want it to overflow, because when you need to pull from it in a bad situation or stressed out or whatever, you got some cash in the bank, basically, right? I mean, you heard, got capital. You heard that expression already in AA, that you got to keep making your deposits, because if you keep making withdrawals from the program,
you're gonna be broke.
You're gonna be broke. Yeah, you're gonna be spiritually, mentally, and physically bankrupt. And that's not a place you really want to be. So
to maintain sobriety a day at a time, it's not an easy thing, but it's a simple. It's very simple.
Yeah.
All you got to do is have a desire to stay sober. Number one, ask for help and get to a meeting. There are meetings everywhere. Even with this COVID epidemic going on, they have Zoom meetings. You can go online. You can ask. Ed's going to give out some numbers and talk about what Genesis House does for meetings. We're very fortunate. We're coming up on 2 years of doing podcasts for Friends in Recovery. Yeah. And we've helped hundreds of people, and it's a good feeling.
Yeah. And Podfather, even these podcasts,
right? Exactly.
They're part of building your recovery. They're part of sitting there. I mean, I listen to our shows, but I do listen to other podcasts about recovery, and it helps me because I get a different perspective and a different understanding of things, and a different kind of feel of what recovery might be from other people.
That's right. That's right. And when you listen to other people and their problems, and you understand, and I think back, I reflect and say, well, that was me. That could be me again if I don't keep doing what I'm doing. You're never safe from this disease. I don't care whether you got 3 days or 33 days or 33 years. Yeah. You're never safe.
Nope.
Because this is a very cunning, baffling disease. It can sneak up on you. Something bad can happen. You could lose a loved one. I've lost brothers. I've lost best friends. I've lost my parents. I've lost a son. I've lost people in this program. Yeah. I mean, while I was in this program, and I've learned to maintain sobriety in spite of it. So if you're out there and you're listening and you think you might have a problem, give us a call.
Give us a call at 617-379-1163. Or email us at help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com. We're going to take a quick break here, but when we get back, Podfather, we just talked about basically the foundation of recovery.
Right.
I want to talk about the sticks and putting the house together, our recovery for our house, and building that good structure on top of that foundation.
Like the 3 little pigs.
Right? Yes, exactly.
Straw house, stick house, brick house.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. Take us
Friends in Recovery podcast. This is the Podfather. We'll be right back.
You're first to respond, first to put others' lives before your own. And in an emergency, you need a network that puts you first, that connects you to technology, to each other, and to other agencies. Built with and for first responders. FirstNet, the only congressionally authorized wireless network for first responders. Because putting you first is our job.
Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery. Welcome back to the Friends in Recovery Addiction Recovery podcast. We want to thank our sponsor, Genesis House, for supporting this show, along with individuals in recovery and the people that love them.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Friends in Recovery, FIR from the car.
That is it.
I am the Podfather, Mike Miles.
I'm Jersey Ed from the car.
Here he
FIR
is.
from the car. I like that, Podfather. That's pretty cool.
You're an idea man, Ed.
I'm an idea man, but we put everything into action. That's how we get things done.
That's right.
So, and that's how we got recovery
Action
done.
is the watchword.
That's it. That's it.
That's right.
What's the old saying? A plan without action is just a dream.
All right.
Right.
I like that.
Yep,
I had
exactly.
a nice dream last night.
That's not that kind of show, Podfather. Anyways, real quick, guys, I want to mention our folks on the West Coast, on the left coast over there. Sober Pod, yeah. My tattoo's healing quite well, Carl and Sober Pod, and my back. It hurts a little bit to sit against the car, but it is healing. So, what's up, Carl, Ellen, Steve, and Chelsea? How you guys doing?
Well.
Yeah, just the guys. Listen to that podcast. I listen to them every Sunday on my run. Just a great podcast.
We should send them some lobsters, I think.
We should.
They'd love some nice fresh lobsters.
We should. We should do that.
I can't imagine anybody not liking a nice New England lobster
in California. We're gonna do that. I'm gonna send it out to them, and I'm gonna make them talk about us on their show again. So, anyways, Sober Pod, find them any of the podcast catchers. So, also real quick, just a reminder again. Go to, if you want to go to one of our meetings, Friends in Recovery online 12-step meetings, 12 noon and 7 p.m. daily. If you go to Friends in Recovery, a community of support, or Friends in Recovery podcast Facebook pages, or Genesis House's website, genesishouse.net. It's all in there and you'll find us. So, guys, welcome back. FIR from the car. We are talking about building on our recovery. We just talked about the foundation of recovery, and I think we're going to get into some of the building of building more and more into it. Maybe further on in the years. We just talked about the early years. Let's talk about some of the stuff that we do maybe now, Podfather, some of the stuff we did in midlife recovery. So,
well, it's a threefold disease: alcohol or drug addiction, or any addiction, mental, physical, spiritual. A lot of people don't hear the mental part. The mental part to me is the most important part, because I can wake up and be in a horrible mood, which I very seldom am, but I can. And there was times in early sobriety when I'd wake up and I'd have anxiety and I'd have panic attacks, and I needed to figure a way to get away from that. I couldn't anesthetize myself anymore with booze and drugs. I was trying to stay clean and sober, and I was very successful, and I was lucky because there was a lot of people that I was going to early meetings with that didn't have the same fortune as I did by staying sober. And I didn't want to fall off this wagon. I wanted to stay sober. I wanted to get 30, 60, 90 days. And I wanted to get 6 months. And I wanted to get my 1-year medallion. And when I got that 1-year medallion, I knew right then and there I could stay sober the rest of my life if I just kept doing what I was doing. And I got to be honest, I don't know about yourself, Ed, but I know for myself personally, I went to meetings every day for the first 5 or 6 years, and that's no bullshit. That's a fact. I went to meetings when I was on vacation. If I was on a cruise, if I was anywhere, I can remember going to Mexico, and then on the TV screen, they said Friends of Bill W. were meeting in this room. Bill W. Bill Wilson. Code word for AA meetings. So meetings for me were very important. I don't know if people are still doing meetings like I used to do meetings, but I hope they are, because that was very helpful to me.
And also me too, Podfather, is the meetings makers make it. End of story. Because we're getting out of our element, out of our head, which is our element, and we're getting around like-minded people. We're in a room of people that went through similar situations or not similar situations, but they got through it sober. Whatever the situation was, they got through it sober. And I still need 30, 20, 26 years later, I still need to be around it. You know what I mean? But about 5 years into my recovery, and I had the same thing. I did the same thing. 5 years into it, I was going strong, all that. A year into it, you're right. I knew that this was it. This was my lifestyle, because I didn't want that old lifestyle back. And that was one of the blessings, I think, that some people don't get. We get that obsession was lifted to drink and drug early for me. And but it brought other things on. Like you said, I couldn't anesthetize myself with anything, so I had to figure out how to do that. And the meetings did it, working the steps, becoming spiritual, running, exercising became it, eating healthier became it. Because you know what it did, Podfather? It took my mind off of that fucking obsession about doing, like kind of like trying to think about alcohol or how I can feel better because my wife was divorcing me, or there was no money in the bank because I worked 2 jobs and I had 4 kids and I had child support. I mean, that was all real shit to me. You know what I mean? And I stressed over that. But I went to meetings, I exercised, and I got through it. I didn't. If think about it, if I drank over that, you and I wouldn't be sitting here.
No.
I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be helping people. All the people that you and I help throughout the years, we wouldn't be doing that. So here's one thing I always say, and we'll get into the building recovery, is remember tomorrow. So if you're thinking of something right now, when you wake up tomorrow morning, is that something you can look at yourself in the mirror about that you did today? If it's drinking, if it's whoring around, if it's doing something stupid or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even that. Well, a friend of ours, Jason, who was on our other podcast, he said, "Clean, living dirty," and that's a real life. You know what I mean? And we don't want to do that. We want to be away from that. We want to live that good, clean life. And 5 years into my recovery, it was a little struggle. There was a little. It took a little out of me, but I got a really good sponsor. That's when I met my sponsor, Andy. God puts people in your life for reasons, and he kicked my ass back into shape, man. And that's what I needed. And the reason why he came into my life is because I was in the right place. I wasn't like sitting at my house or sitting in a backyard. I was at a meeting. I went to meetings all the time, and I went to this meeting, and Andy popped into my life. And if you watch a few episodes back, the last episode, my sponsor's on, and he, I explained the story, but he was put in my life for that, and thank God. 5 years is Did you have a tough time around 5 years?
No, I had about 2 years.
2 years.
I was having panic and anxiety.
Okay.
attacks.
Okay.
Once I got through that, like I said, physical, mental, spiritual, and the spiritual part, believe it or not, I've always prayed. I've always asked for help. I've always been kind of I was brought up Catholic. So I've always stayed with that religion. But my wife's a Baptist. I got married in her church. I actually got baptized.
Wow.
To bring up my children in that church. And my mother-in-law, who I love dearly, Carolyn, I knew it would please her as well. But the spiritual part for me is so important now. As I'm an old man, I'm nearing that final turn.
The back nine.
The back nine. There's not many years left. If I'm lucky, maybe. No, well, I mean, honestly, 20 years would make me 86. I mean, I hope to make it there. I don't know if I will, but irregardless, I don't worry about it.
Nope.
Because I have a spiritual connection. I feel my higher power, whatever God there is in my life that I understand and I believe in, isn't going to let me down. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I live a good life now. I'm a fairly good person. I still make mistakes.
Yeah, of course.
But as far as picking up drinks or drugs, I don't do that. As far as being a thief and a liar, I'm not doing that. Mm-hmm. I'm far from perfect.
Yep.
But I know that this program has brought me to a place where physical, mental, and spiritual, I never would have been if I didn't find recovery.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. Find recovery. Like, that is such an awesome word. I'm sorry, I'm cursing a little bit. When I get passionate about things, I my Jersey comes out of me, and I'm really passionate about recovery. Yeah. But finding recovery, that is awesome. But if you think about it, recovery, we didn't find recovery. If you think about it, this is my thoughts. Recovery was thrown at me. Recovery was all over me. Recovery was everywhere. You know what I mean? Right, it's just that I had to be open-minded to do it. Right. And once I opened my mind, I was able to find the recovery, like we say. But it took me to places I've never thought I'd be. And I'm not talking, like on vacation or anything along those lines. I'm talking about my spiritual and my mental situation, and my kind of who I am today and what I do today, you know.
Right.
And it's just amazing where recovery takes me. And if you don't believe us, man, just stick around for a little bit, right?
Right.
Stick around for a
Right.
couple years and
Give it a
listen,
shot.
like my sponsor says, if you don't like it in a year or two, we'll refund your misery at the door.
That's right.
Walk out the
Right.
door or turn off
right.
the Zoom meetings and you'll get all your misery back if you don't want to work
Real
this
quick.
program.
Real
Yeah, really quick.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we've seen it 1,000 times. And guys, here's the other thing. The other thing is nowadays, unlike it was when you and I started in the program, death comes even quicker now
Yeah.
because of all these opiates and all the bad drugs and everything that are out there. So we really encourage you guys to stick with this. Now, me and the Podfather, we are in that, you know, that kind of that if you want to kind of call it house building stage, we are, you know, the roof is on, you know, we're kind of settled into the house. And you guys who are in a foundation or just the structure phase, hang in there because the miracle happens all through. Even 34 years, you
Yep.
still get miracles,
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
Still this far
My
into
life's better
recovery.
now than it's ever been, and it's good. And you know, it's not perfect, but it's good. And you know, it works if you work it. If you think it's just going to happen and you don't put any effort into it, it's not. Just like if you want to get healthy, you work out, you walk, you lift weights, you do Nautilus, you do stretching, you do yoga, whatever. You know that once you start working on your body, it starts to improve. You start working on your spirituality, it'll improve. You start working on your mental ability, it'll improve. There's plenty of books to read out there. There's plenty of therapists you can call. You can call us at our number. We will lead you in the right direction. We've had on some fabulous guests. On Ed, one thing about you, you always get the greatest guest, and every guest leaves me, shell shocked. I'm just like, wow, that was a great guest. The next guest comes on, wow, that was a great guest. And there's plenty of meetings out there. There's plenty of people out there that will help you. All you got to do is ask.
Yep, absolutely. That's it. And that's all you got to do is ask. And when we're going to close here in a minute, Podfather.
Yep.
But when you ask, we all come running. You raise your hand at a meeting, say, I'm new at this. And they all come running.
That's
and
right.
those people who built on their recovery, who are still building on recovery, they come to help you to build, because if they're not giving back, their house is going to crumble. That's the
Step
big
12.
part of it.
That's
Yep, exactly. Step 12.
Step 12. And you learn about the big book and the steps. You know what? That's all well and good, and you will learn. But in the beginning, all you got to do is just show up.
Yep.
Show up, go to meetings, ask for help, keep your mouth shut, listen. And if you have any questions after the meeting, approach somebody that has a little bit of sobriety and you feel comfortable talking to. You don't have to pour your heart and soul, although most people do.
Yeah.
But more importantly, you can contact us if you want to just start out and you're not sure where to go. Give us a call.
Yeah, guys, everything is in the show notes. The phone numbers, emails, everything's in there. Just look through the show notes. Podfather, another great show. FIR from the car. I love this.
FIR from the car. We'll be doing this again.
We're gonna, when I'm up here.
We'll use your car.
We go, yeah.
We'll use Melissa's car.
Yeah, hey Melissa, we're gonna use your car. But anyways, that Podfather, take us out. And great show. Thank you.
Friends in Recovery podcast.
Stay sober, everybody.
Stay sober, everybody. Thank you.
All right, guys.